We're going on a journey that will take us hundreds of miles across Iran to parts of the country that are usually inaccessible to foreign journalists. Iranians have been living through one of the most consequential times in their modern history, and yet we almost never hear from its people directly. 6 months ago, Iranians were calling for change. Thousands were killed, many more disappeared. Some believed foreign intervention was the answer.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
Within hours of the speech, Iran was under attack. The human cost was immediate. Iran retaliated. Has this war weakened the regime or empowered it? And where has it left its people? We're traveling the length of Iran, a 25-hour journey. From north to south, this rail corridor is the country's crucial economic backbone. The route cuts through some of Iran's most strategic landscape, from Tehran via nuclear sites Natanz and Fordow to Bandar Abbas on the Strait of Hormuz. On the train are people from every corner of Iranian society, each with their own story. Azadeh is a lawyer, Sapideh a beautician. They were cautious to speak to us in public, but agreed to an interview in their cabin.
گفتم این ذات هر ایرانی که با شرایط خودش رو وفق میده. سخت بود، ترسناک بود، نگران بودیم، دلواپس بودیم، اما سعی کردیم در همون شرایط هم زندگی بکنیم. زندگی رو داشته باشیم. روزمرگیمون رو داشته باشیم. امید به آینده داشته باشیم.
در واقع که ایران رو خیلی دوست دارم. خیلی دوست دارم. ولی خب وقتی که میبینم جوونیم، سنم داره میره و هدفام، آرزوهام و تموم امیدم داره از دست میره، مجبورم که برم برای پیشرفت، برای رسیدن به هدفام. مجبورم.
You know, we saw before this war a lot of young people, a lot of people across Iran go out and protest. There were a lot of people that had hope that this war would mean a big change would happen in Iran. What do you think about that, and how do you feel about how things have played out? I'll start with Azadeh first. Have a think about it.
من راجع به این جواب نمیدم.
She doesn't want to answer.
من راجع به این صحبت
She doesn't want to answer this. No, that's fine. That's fine. Tensions are high, and talking about politics makes people nervous. In January, years of crippling sanctions, soaring inflation, and anger at Iran's leadership pushed people onto the streets. Hundreds of thousands joined protests demanding the regime's downfall. Speaking out against the government can come at a heavy cost, so we've gathered some anonymous testimony.
When we got there, there was a very large crowd. People were throwing stones, and the police and the Basij had weapons in their hands and were shooting. Mostly we saw tear gas. And then we clearly saw the police getting down on the ground, taking up a Kalashnikov and aiming at people. And we were completely shocked at how easily and how casually they were taking aim and firing at people.
Then came a communication blackout across the country, imposed by the regime.
We had no internet. The phones reconnected after a while at maybe 4 in the morning. But even so, we couldn't even send messages. I still couldn't believe how many had been killed. I was completely shocked. How were they even able to kill so many people? Not just in Tehran. In many other cities, the situation was really bad.
Truckloads of bodies arrived to open-air morgues like this one. The full death toll has never been independently verified. Reports say several thousand were killed, with many more forcibly disappeared. On February 28th, after weeks of threats, the US and Israel launched a military campaign, and President Trump made this statement.
The United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests.
He said Iran could never be allowed to obtain a nuclear weapon and called on Iranians to seize the moment.
America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach.
Within 24 hours, Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, was killed by an Israeli strike.
روح بلند و ملکوتی کوه نستوه ولایت.
His death shocked the world. But on the train, people tell me of another significant attack they remember from that day. A few doors down, a football team. Arif and Abdullah are heading back home to Minab.
بودن فکر کنم 2 ماه خورده نزدیک 3 ماه ما هیچ تمرین نداشتیم.
بحث مالی هم بود. خیلی از تیم ها بالاخره نمیتونستن بازیکناشون و کادرشون رو ساپورت کنن. از لحاظ مالی به نسبت قبل خیلی تفاوت کرد.
On the first day of the war, Abdullah's hometown of Minab became the scene of one of the conflict's defining tragedies.
مدرسه رو زدن که توش همش بچه بوده، همش دانش آموز 7 ساله، 8 ساله، 9 ساله بوده. واقعا ناراحت شدم. کلاً کل کشورمون ناراحت شدم. واقعا یه غم عجیبی بود تو کل استان هرمزگان. روز تأسیسشون که دیگه روز خاصی بود، نمیدونم هر کی میرفت اونجا گریه میکرد. واقعا یه روز خاصی بود.
Almost 2 hours away from the train station in Bandar Abbas is Minab, known for its vast date palm groves which have sustained the small city for centuries. Wherever you go, there are reminders of what this city has lost. Pictures of the children killed in the attack are everywhere. We're on our way to the Shajara Tayyiba school. This attack has become the regime's case to the world. Their way of saying this is the true cost of America and Israel's campaign on Iran. 156 people died here. 120 of them children. 5 months on, and they're still searching for the remains of one young boy. It looks like he wants to show me something. Did you just get this from the rubble? He's just found a little girl's notebook in the rubble. Her name is Maya Salari. She was 8 years old. Her mother had just arrived to collect her and her brother Ali. He was in the 1st grade. They were all killed in the attack. I meet one of the teachers, 33-year-old Amina Nadimi. She taught in the school for 6 years.
اسمش نمیشه بذاری مدرسه. اینجا فقط دیوارهایی هستش که بوی شهادت و بوی غم و خون شهدا اینجا ریخته شده.
These hallways once echoed with the sound of children, but now the classrooms have gone quiet. Experts say the evidence indicates it was a US strike that hit the top floor of the school that day, collapsing the girls' classrooms into the boys'. Independent investigations into the strike also questioned whether the school was hit because of its proximity to an IRGC site. But the US is yet to release the findings of its inquiry.
دم در مدرسه که رسیدم ازدحام جمعیت، همه ولیای دانش آموزا که اصلاً کفش دمپایی هیچی پاشون نبود، فقط میدویدن سمت مدرسه و من فکر میکردم که هیچ دانش آموزی و هیچ همکاری تو مدرسه نیست و با خودم میگفتم چرا میان سمت مدرسه، اینجا که کسی نیست. فکر میکردم که همشون فرار کردن، نمیدونستم که همشون زیر آوارن.
These are the faces of those killed in the attack. Mikhail, who was 9 years old and in year 3. Fatima, who dreamed of becoming a doctor. Samira was killed in the attack. Her brother Sadra Malahi survived. And this is 7-year-old Mehdis, seen leaving for school with her father for the last time. Reza was one of the first emergency responders at the scene.
I remember that I came here and saw one of my relatives. He was begging that just found my child, found my son. And it was very hard. And I know that there is no one alive. And I couldn't tell her that your son is not alive. And
Can I ask you, recovering from seeing something like that must be really hard.
yes, for sure.
How has that been like for you?
It was very hard, actually. Even in my sleeps, even in my dreams, I couldn't sleep for a few days. And when I close my eyes, even nowadays, I just remember these things that I have seen here. It's very hard for me.
For many of those who welcomed foreign intervention, Minab changed everything.
I was okay with there being a war, but not at the price of a lot of innocent people being killed. That school in Minab, for example, how many people were killed? War destroys, it wipes people out, and it makes no distinction whether you're good or bad.
At the cemetery in Minab, siblings growing up beside the graves of brothers and sisters whose lives were cut short. Masume lost her 9-year-old daughter Satesh in the attack.
مدرسه نبود، همه فقط بود دود، موهای بچه ها، دست یه طرف، با یه طرف، به اربا شده بود. کربلا رو با چشم خودمون دیدیم. دفعه نک صدای همه بچه ها می زدن بچه ها کجایی؟ گفتم ستایش مامان کجایی؟ با دل ریزه بودی این دود خفه میشه. دوستاش معلم باشه، عروسکاشو میمون میساش همه به ردیف میگو من معلمتونم.
Like many of the parents here, her grief has become intertwined with anger.
اینطورم نابود بشه، که خونی بچه ها خرد بشه، درد گرفتار بشه که هممون بفرم.
Minab and Bandar Abbas are two places that tell very different stories about this war. Minab is shaping the government's narrative of this conflict. But here is where it projects its power. Bandar Abbas is the gateway to the Strait of Hormuz. For months, this waterway has been a global bottleneck. Iran hasn't sealed the strait entirely, but by carrying out unpredictable attacks, it's become too dangerous to cross without their permission. We are right at the heart of the Strait of Hormuz, and behind me is an international ship that's been captured by the Iranians, and there are many more that are waiting to get through. It's easy to forget how vital what they're carrying is for day-to-day life, things like fuel and fertilizer, and when they're being held, prices go up for all of us. In peacetime, More than 100 ships pass through these waters every day. Now, only a handful are willing to make the crossing. Bandar Abbas is home to the conventional Navy and the IRGC Navy, making it a key target. Heavy strikes have hit the city. An Israeli strike targeted key naval commander Ali Reza Tangsiri in this residential building. 3 other people were also killed. Fatima's business was destroyed.
کسانی که اینجا مورد اصابت قرار گرفتن حالا یه تعدادی آدمای نظامی بودن و تعدادی هم آدمای عادی بودن، مردمی که خانه زندگیشون اینجا بوده. تعدادی هم کودک بودن. حالا اینا واقعا محل استراحتشون بوده، نه حوزه فعالیتشون اون ساعت نظامی بوده، نه که پای لانچر بودن، نه که دست به اسلحه بودن، فقط در حال استراحتشون بودن تو خونه زندگی خودشون. توی محدودی نظامی فعالیت نمی‌کرده و مقابله نمی‌کرده رو در اون ساعت حالا اگر که می‌خواستن ترور کنن میتونستن تو منطقه زمان فعالیت خودشون ترور کنن.
For some, this war hasn't achieved what they'd hoped for.
In my opinion, America has sort of lost the war. It's lost its way. This campaign became about oil and the Strait of Hormuz, and we want to save the strait. It's all about money. The people mean nothing. They are irrelevant. The people are no longer a consideration.
The regime hasn't gotten stronger, but the bullying is more intense. I think because America is trying to negotiate and we have closed the strait that they are powerful. But in my opinion, as an Iranian living in Iran, the regime has no power. The power of any country is within the people of that place.
During a brief pause in the fighting, Tehran prepares for the Supreme Leader's funeral. His presence is felt throughout the capital. Millions of Iranians have made the journey to pay their respects 4 months on from his death, in what is a carefully choreographed show of unity to the world.
تو راهپیمایی شرکت نکرده بودم، ولی من و خیلیای دیگه از جنگ 12 روزه به بعد هر روز میگیم مرگ بر اسرائیل، هر روز میگیم مرگ بر آمریکا و مرگ بر قاتلانی که تمام مردم ما رو تک به تک شهید کردن. ما هر روز اینا رو میگیم و محکم‌تر شدیم. واقعا من خیلی‌ها رو میشناسم که با حکومت ایران مخالف بودن ولی امروز موافقم.
We have a message for Bibi Netanyahu, for the madman in the White House, and for anyone who wants to see the people of Iran on their knees. We will not back down. We will never ever let this country down.
Just days after the funeral, the ceasefire collapsed. Iran is no stranger to political friction. The tensions between Tehran, Tel Aviv, and Washington have been decades in the making, but they are only now playing out on the battlefield. And as both sides compete to shape the legacy of this war, its impact is being felt across the world.